The first speech to a party conference by a Labour Chancellor in, goodness knows, about 14 years, 15 years? I speak of Rachel Reeves in Liverpool. Natasha Clark is there to talk us through the salient points. Natasha, over to you.
James, it's been a pretty jubilant atmosphere so far at the Labour Party conference here in Liverpool. And like you say, everybody is pretty delighted to hearing from the first Labour Chancellor in 14 years. She promised no return to austerity. She was going to keep her manifesto commitments, and there were huge cheers in the room for some of the policies that she promised in the election campaign: tax crackdown, abolishing non-doms, and that VAT on private schools, which of course has got everybody talking. But at first she had to fight off resistance from this heckler.
When the prices of food and housing and energy soar, it is working people with mortgages, rents and bills to pay who suffer the consequences. Well, I will not take that risk. I will repay the trust that people put in us. Trust is hard-earned, but it's easily squandered. Just ask the Conservatives. They paid the price for their incompetence, their dishonesty and their rule-breaking. This is a changed Labour Party, a Labour Party that represents working people, not a party of protest.
It seems to happen every year at conferences. More and more hecklers manage somehow to get into the room, and I was told by somebody yesterday that security is so much tighter here in Liverpool, but yet still an Israel-Gaza protester on arms managed to get through. Nowhere near Rachel Reeves. However, obviously we'll remember last year when Keir Starmer got attacked by that glitter protester, so luckily no such breaches of security in that respect. But the row that's of course dominating here in Liverpool is of course over winter fuel. The unions are so angry about it. Labour MPs privately, and even Labour Party officials, very upset about this decision to cut winter fuel. Today Rachel Reeves doubled down on it, insisting she had absolutely no choice thanks to the mess the Tories left us in.
I know that not everyone in this hall or in the country will agree with every decision that I make. But I will not duck those decisions. Not for political expediency, not for personal advantage. Faced with that £22 billion black hole that the Conservatives left this year, and with a triple lock ensuring that the state pension will rise by an estimated £1,700 over the course of this Parliament, I judged it the right decision in the circumstances that we inherited.
And of course, James, she had the really unenviable job of trying to brighten up what is, of course, a doom and gloom message ahead of the budget. We know it's going to be painful. Keir Starmer keeps on telling us that. But Rachel Reeves looked like she had the cat that got the cream, really. She was grinning from ear to ear as she was delivering some of her speech earlier today. She'd clearly been told, put on a bit of a positive spin on this, because we need to hear some hope, some optimism to inject that back into our politics. And that's very much the message of, I think, what Rachel Reeves was trying to say today, and it is a really hard message for her to put across. How can it be so doom and gloom? You're going to have to inflict these huge cuts on us. You have to cut winter fuel payments for pensioners at the same time as offering that message of change, of hope. Something really difficult for her, but she promised that unlike the Conservatives, she was going to get back trust in politics.
We were elected because for the first time in almost 2 decades, people looked at us, looked at me, and decided that Labour could be trusted with their money. That is more than a political choice or a single line in any manifesto. It is about our values. Because we saw what happened 2 years ago when governments play fast and loose with the public finances. When the prices of food and housing and energy soar, it is working people with mortgages, rents and bills to pay who suffer the consequences. Well, I will not take that risk. I will repay the trust that people put in us.
So Rachel Reeves' first speech seems to have gone down pretty well in the hall. She got multiple rounds of applause, some very excited people. Her event ticketed, queues around the block as you'd expect. Not everybody can get in that room to hear from the new Chancellor. But of course, lots of rows dominating this conference. I know you've had a lot to say about the donation story on your show over the past few days, but people are still talking about it here, James. And Rachel Reeves obviously going to get asked about it a lot in the next few days and about whether it will overshadow her message. I think still yet to be seen, but lots of people, lots to say. A very interesting conference so far.
So we don't learn, and this is normal. It's a month and a week until the budget on the 30th of October. Not really much there to point towards what we might expect substantively or surprise-wise in that budget.
So she promised no return to austerity. That's something that she's been saying all along. She said she was going to keep her manifesto commitments not to raise income tax, VAT, national insurance. Those are not going to go up. However, everything is still on the table. She promised she was going to look at investment. She said that was going to be the key to unlocking growth. So I think we'll be hearing a little bit more from the Chancellor in the next few days, potentially in the next few weeks, in the run-up to that budget, about what that investment will be. There are people in the Department for the Ministry of Justice hope that's going to be more investment for prisons. There are people in the Department for Health hope it's going to be more investment for hospitals. But yes, at the moment, Rachel Reeves very much pitch rolling ahead of her very first budget. And like I say, trying to get that very delicate tightrope back from offering a bit of a hope and optimism and saying that we can fix some of these really deep-rooted issues that obviously are affecting us up and down our country. But at the same time, she has been left, what she says, a dire inheritance. So yes, not many clues about what's going to be in the budget, but we are expecting to hear more from her in the next few days and weeks. Essentially, this is a bit of a more flesh on the bones of all the kind of things that we saw in the election campaign. There's not a lot of new real detail from it. It's all about sort of this messaging, I think, that the Labour Party are trying to position themselves. They're obviously the party of government. They're trying to get their comms message right, and some people arguably saying that they're not getting it right at the moment. But yeah, I think, overall, I think that Rachel Reeves' team will be quite pleased with their round of media interviews that they've had today, and they're hoping, obviously, that this speech, her first to the Labour Party conference, will help slightly move the conversation away from this donors' row and onto the substantive issue of economics.